Night call. Silence in a small suburb. Mid-autumn. The cold wind drives the wilted leaves through the streets. Emma had an ordinary, at first glance, life. Work in the library, a cat named Pip, a cozy apartment on the outskirts of the city, and quiet evenings with a cup of tea. But everything changed in one cold autumn night. Emma just returned home from work, threw her coat and sat on the couch to read a book. Pip, her cat, curled up a ball next to it, enjoying the warm comfort. It was too late, about 10:30, when Emma's phone received the first strange call. The number was unknown. She didn't answer. She decided that it was probably some kind of advertising mailing. But after a few minutes, the call repeated. Emma frowned and sighed, picked up the phone. Hello? Her voice sounded tired but calm. There was only silence at the other end of the wire. Then a faint rustle was heard, as if someone was breathing into a tube. Emma raised her eyebrows but decided not to panic. Who is this? She asked. In response, silence. Then suddenly, on the verge of audible, there was a soft whisper. Are you there? Emma froze for a moment. Someone knew she was home. It was strange, but not quite scary, because there are rarely serious incidents in the suburbs. Who is it? Her voice sounded decisive. The whisper became louder. You shouldn't be here. They are close. Emma's heart beat faster. She broke away from the phone and looked at Pip, who was sitting opposite her, with an unusual expression on her face, eyes widened, as if he had seen something. Emma? They whispered through the phone. It wasn't a human voice. He was short, hoarse, with some kind of metallic touch, as if from a deep cave. We are close. Emma felt cold run down her back. She quickly hung up the phone and immediately called her friend Dan back. For a few seconds, the phone was busy, and then finally his voice sounded. Hi, Emma, are you okay? I just saw that you called me. Dan, I need you to come to me. It's important right now. Her voice was tense and alarmed. Everything will be fine, Em, he reassured her. I went outside for a minute. I'll come now. Emma got up and began to close the windows. All these actions seemed meaningless, but she could not help but panic. The cat was still sitting, as if in a stupor, not taking his eyes off the door. The same call was repeated a minute later. Emma picked up the phone again. Emma, the voice said, we are inside. And then something seemed to change in the apartment. Emma froze, feeling the air around her becoming viscous. The rustle became louder. Suddenly, a strange sound came from the window, as if someone had scratched the glass from the outside with their fingernail. Call again. Emma picked up the phone with difficulty. They're here, the voice whispered. You won't go out alive. Emma put down the phone, ran to the door in a panic, but when she tried to get out, the door was locked. She never locked her up at night. This fact seemed to crash into her consciousness. She looked into the glass of the door and saw how in the dark something was moving, something thin, almost elusive, but clearly alive. There was a dull knock in the corridor. Dan is back. Emma opened the door with shaking hands. Emma, what happened? Dan asked, entering the apartment and closing the door behind him. But Emma couldn't answer. She pointed to the cat, which was now standing, holding his breath, looking at Dan. He also noticed something strange. His eyes had the same expression of fear as hers. With some horror, barely holding back his panic gaze, he looked at Emma. You're not alone, Emma, he said quietly. They're here. And at that moment, the phone rang again.